Stranger Air is my first book, and as such, it's really a solidification of my themes. Throughout my 20s, I was having a lot of difficulty writing about the topics that were really of interest to me, and those were poems with an eco-poetic sensibility, poems that dealt with an environmentally stressed world, being a person and a child who grew up very anxious about that, even in the 70s and 80s, and figuring out how to write about that topic that was becoming more and more in the public consciousness. And I also wanted to write about the abuse of animals, which to me falls under the same category of trying to live a less anthropocentric existence and trying to find a way to do that through the poetry. And I think with this first book, I was finally starting to figure it out and how to write about those topics more meaningfully. Feel calf. But the body of the mind cannot stop its breathing. Like blocking thought, the sunny kitchen of idea blacked out and soundproofed, yet there it is, face forward, no turnaround, language of movement denied, like demanding a forest not to burn. The leap from one perception immediately to another perception, the privilege and necessity of it. Love, all it can do is grow into the crate, its own pale pasture, for it is tenderer that way, and lonelier, anxious, the anti-hero that masters write stories about, the whole great tragedy of a creature unable to lick the elusive daylight. And all it has, like us, is the reach, the longing, the grace of the swipe, the evidence of self, the brute syntax of being. There are other themes in the book too, because it's a fairly eclectic mix, and some other themes that recur throughout are grief and death, and that can occur in a familial context, or it can occur in a global one, in an eco-poetic context too. So there's a great deal of anxiety that runs through the poems, but the interesting thing that happens is that beauty injects itself into the poems, whether I want it to or not. And that comes out through the language, and therefore hope comes out through the language too. And that's something that's really hopeful for me to see, and for me to continue to believe in, that there might be hope for the future. Flotsam. Empty bed, sheets rough as surf. The dislocation of bones. Plutonium half-lives. Bodies like ragged wood sailors trace to the ghost ship, all in pieces, a smashed dead heart. Pale planetary heads of dandelions, listing spider webs, the dead's full closets, their underwear and socks, feather, echo. The dead lugging the weight of the living. Last breaths of last animals, rising water, and somewhere under it, love. Stormcrop is my second book, and I knew from the outset that I wanted a more streamlined approach to my eco-poetic concerns, that I wanted one project, one book, and then I thought that the best way to approach that would be through the alphabet. Intuitively, I thought that would be the best way to do it as the foundation for our language. And for me, I also wanted to trust the subconscious. It was the best way for me to approach the topics in an even more honest and unpostured way. And so I took each letter and I drifted in and I drifted out and I drifted around. And what happened is, because when one trusts the mind to the subconscious, one trusts the mind to wander. And the project became more comprehensive in scope, so that not only my usual concerns about animals and the environment emerged, but also how the interplay of politics came in, and human violence, and also how beauty comes in to interlace itself among all those topics too. And so the book became far larger than I had originally intended, and that was thrilling to me. And despite the anxiety, this insistence on beauty is a really hopeful thing to me that continues to show itself. A, the body's metric. A is home, not home. Not the end, but the anarchic semantic crust, retoweling of thought, filament, lots of how you say conservation. A, the ancient way of paying bills, you know, dying. A for birds of paradise, ribbon-tailed. A is I refuse to say the source, any not yet tied aspects. This the book, not the book. What I hold up, merely a part, Bird flies in, threads out, feather through a tribesman's nose. Wave pool, landing pad, departure point, and the tarmacs in between. Hand over hand, the clothesline drawn in, a light here and take something away, a light here and bring something back. If violence is necessary, we will discuss in small voices, skeptical hands. In the dead corners, dancing bear, snout threaded with rope. Jerked up from the dusty road by the alphabet's nose, letters resound, snarl and curse desyntaxed. What language crux? Deep exhaustion of serving. Necessity of beginning. A is for order, paradox, the healed wound. A for the before that was never before. Unmapped directions. Belief. Any alphabet one wishes to choose. To be lost in meaning, all entry points. A the exit, A the raunchy song, A the supernatural speaking in your ear. The logic of longing. I speak with this, with it. A the great woe, the scattering. What animals do not fit the bill? Time can be crossed and knotted, extended, shrunk. Bouquets of it I sniff and sniff. My gourd nose fills with pollen. Bees buzz about my brows. Time the texture, silent trumpet song. I hear it in the call, what passes like an orchard.